All right. What time is it? Whew. Sorry, guys, I'm a few minutes late. I got sidetracked having too much fun with this awesome product. All right, I'm going to pull you guys up on my laptop here. How's everyone doing today? We'll see. Well, I'll just give it a moment, see who might have time to join us today. If not, hopefully you're joining, if you're joining via replay. Hello, hello. I'm very blessed to have a lovely big window here in my craft space. So I'm looking out, watching it snow again. It just won't stop. Winter is going out, kicking and screaming, I would say. All right. So we are going to play with some awesome product from Chloe's Creatives. Sorry for that noise. I was just putting down my blending brushes. I have a whole ton of them. It is a disaster area in the craft room, friends. We are getting prepped for Carnival. It is 1 week away until setup. So this time next week, the team will be at the community center setting up for Carnival. So looking so forward to seeing everyone. Hopefully meet some new people as well. So that's going to be fun. So there won't be a Facebook Live, not a formal one anyways next week. Hopefully we'll pop in from the Carnival floor and say hello. So let's take a look at these products. I don't want to wait too long so that those of you who are watching on replay don't have to wait too long. Although I guess if you're watching on replay, you can fast forward. So let's take a look here at these products. I showed these to you a little bit last week, but since we're going to play with them today, then I can kind of show you a bit more. So we've got the Designer Vellum paper pad, which is got all these peonies on here. Okay, and then I'll show you how we use these in this demo. So lots of different colors to choose from. I kind of pulled out the ones that were just right here at the front of the book. So it's sort of a corally pink. Not really sure what color you'd say it is. Okay, so we're going to use this in conjunction with the 3D embossing folder and metal die set. Hello, Linda. Okay, so this is the 3D embossing folder, and then this is the die set. So this is really such a really cool group of products. I actually have not used these before, so I think you guys are going to love seeing how these all work together. And then we've got the Peony background 2D embossing folder. And note, your eyes are not deceiving you. This is ginormous. It is an 8x8 embossing folder. I do not have an embossing machine that will fit this. So I've got a couple of ideas to share with you. Not original ones of my own, but ones I found online. And so we won't be able to kind of get the, as beautiful of a look with this as if you happen to have a larger Gemini or I don't know if anybody has a full size. I can't remember if the Switch is a full size machine or not that will fit like with a larger opening. So if you've got a machine that has the larger opening, this folder will work great. If not, I've got a couple of ideas for you how you can make this work. Won't be exactly the same, but it'll be good enough for our purposes. So why don't we start with that? So let me set these aside, and I've just got a few other, going to be using the brushed gold cardstock later as well. But let's start first of all with this embossing folder. So I'm going to grab my handy dandy rolling pin over here, and we're going to get creative. And I forgot to grab a piece of paper before, so I'm just going to grab one here. Now I did test this out with a few different thicknesses of paper, but I found that, oh, I have to see here, I'm not getting your, oh, it's because my computer froze. Hang on. Hopefully you guys are seeing this okay. All right. I think it was just my computer. Okay, good. Hi, Linda. All right. So I did try it with a few different thicknesses of paper, but I found that it didn't really make that much of a difference. I actually found I got the best impression by just folding I think this is like a 80-pound piece of paper in half. Okay, so let me just slide this stuff aside because we're going to use some water here. So now I'm going to give this a mist. So probably 2 to 3 to 4 mists per side. And I'm just going to slide that in here. And it doesn't matter to me whether this, which way you put it in. Let's see. I'm going to feel here. So this is the raised side. So I probably want to work on this side. I guess it doesn't matter. Then we're just going to take our rolling pin and roll that across. Now this one's actually kind of light, so I kind of did this a few different ways. And kind of rolled that across and then just really put some pressure in there. Okay, and then what I did find as well is if I took my rolling pin and kind of just use that edge to slide that across, and you can kind of flip it up to check it to see if you're getting much of an impression. So we are getting a little bit of an impression. It might be hard to see. So I'm gonna just go back over it and just run that right over. Now this is a 2D embossing folder, so you're going to get, the impression's going to be a little bit more subtle. I actually think you probably could do this, like your rolling pin and misting the water, and get a pretty good result with a 3D folder. But I've never seen 3D embossing folders this size. Okay, so when I was working with this last night, so you can see that starts to come out a little bit more. There were a couple times that I re-misted the paper as well, and then went back over it again. Okay. And then once I was done, I just took the paper out and set it aside to dry. Okay, so I'm not going to show you that whole, make you sit and watch me during that whole process. I'll just grab the one I did last night. That's already dried. We'll set that aside. So you can see we got a pretty decent result. And because I'm going to cut this down anyways, I'm going to use a die cut frame on it. Then I don't need to have the whole page covered. And because I folded this in half as well, then I thought it turned out pretty decently. So, not too bad. Then I did experiment as well with adding ink to the embossing folder and doing the same process. And of course, as soon as I go live, there it is. I can't find it, but I just found it. Or did I? There it is. So here I added some gold embossing ink. So you can see you get a decent ink transfer. So I think that's, you can use that as a die cut or a background as well. But that'll work. Okay, and then I'm just going to show you one more, and of course I forgot my paper again. Let me grab another piece. So I thought this was kind of fun, and I didn't quite have time to dig out my gelatos, because I thought, actually, I have some distressed crayons. Hang on, just a sec, these are handy. I don't know why I don't think of these things earlier. I think of them after. Okay. Just gonna grab a distress crayon. And we're gonna do some good old-fashioned, do you guys remember doing this in school? When you would, with coins? So let's see if we can do like a rubbing on here. I'm not sure if the distress crayon's gonna pick it up. We might need something lighter. Yeah, that's not quite gonna pick it up. Oh well, but this will, because I did try this last night. So I'm just using a colored pencil and lightly rubbing over this. So I think this would be really pretty if you're wanting to do like a mixed media background, and we'd add layers onto this. Or die cut out. But I do have one I worked on last night, so I'll be turning that one into a sample, but I'll just show you what that looked like with some different colors here. So it's a look, definitely, but just, you know, another way to be able to use this big folder. If you don't have a die cut machine, which most of us don't, that would fit that. Why do they make them that size? I don't know. I think it's a UK thing. I remember watching someone, maybe a couple years ago, and I believe it was from the UK, and I believe he said that they don't have, if the postage is the same, no matter the size of the card that you're mailing. I don't know if that's still true or not. So they like to make big cards. Okay, so that is our background, and then I just want to, maybe I'll do that really quick here. I'll bring in my die cut machine. Then what I'm going to do is die cut that out with one of the dies from the Nesting Piercing Fancy Labels die. That's going to be part of building this card together. And so the nice thing is I can just take this, and I think I want that little piece here. And I'll just trim this out. And I will grab my die cut machine really quickly, because we're going to need it. All right. And we'll run that through. Now, you also probably, because I used quite a large piece of paper when I was doing that kind of dry embossing, you probably would get a really good result if you just wanted to do like your A2 card front. See how pretty that is? And because it's 2D, it flattens it out a wee bit, but not really all that much. Okay, because it's not a 3D image, so a really raised image to begin with. Okay, let me just set this cardstock aside. All right, so let's work with the florals. So I've taken one of the florals out of the printed Pretty Peonies Ombre designer vellum paper pad. Okay. And now we're going to, first of all, emboss the blooms. Okay, so I'll just line this up in here, and you can see that there's, on the printed blooms here, you've got quite a bit of overhang, I'll call it, from your from the ends of your, let me just use my scissors, from the ends here of the petals to the printed petals. So if you're not exactly centered, it's not really a big deal, because you're not really going to notice once we get these all layered up. Okay, so we're going to run that through, and this is a 3D embossing folder. So if you've got a Platinum 6, we're going to do our A platform, then the F shim, okay, then our folder with the vellum inside, and then your D plate. So that rolls through nicely. And now we've got, now the details are added. Let me just do that on the back here. You can see that a little better. Okay. So now we're going to die cut those. So these come together, the embossing folder and the metal die set. Okay, so you can see we've got the large, medium, and small petals. Maybe I'll turn that around this way so the words are right side up. And then leaves, and then the stamens. Okay. Could you die cut them first and then emboss them? I suppose so. However, it might be a little bit tricky trying to get your, actually I'll show you, let me die cut the blooms first, and then I'll show you why I think it's much better to do the embossing first and then the die cutting. All right, so let's get our dies on here. So super easy to line up, and I just need a little bit of craft tape to hold that in place. Okay. I'll kind of put it on both sides there. And then the medium flower. And super easy to line up. It just slides right into place. Okay, and I want to make sure that this isn't going to move on me when I put it through my die cut machine. Because if the dies are going to slide and then this is going to not cut correctly, it is going to happen when we're live. Because that's how life rolls sometimes. Okay. I'm going to add another piece of tape just to that larger. Perfect. Okay. So, bring in the rest of my sandwich, which of course for the Spellbinders Platinum 6 is your A plate, then your B platform top, then you would do your cutting plate. I've got a magic mat, so I'm using that, but then you would do your clear cutting plate if you don't have a magic mat, and then your top clear cutting plate. All right, so I'll run that through. There we go. Excuse the shake of my camera. All right. So, the question probably in your mind is, did we just flatten all that beautiful 3D embossing? Yes, we did a little bit. However, I'll just show you, because we're using vellum, we haven't lost any of the detail on the flower, even though we've lost a little bit of the embossing. So it's still beautiful. All right. And we'll pop this one out. So could you put these back into your embossing folder if you wanted to kind of bring back more of that dimension? You could. I don't know if I would. I think it's got plenty of dimension. And because it's vellum too, I don't want to stress the vellum out too much either. I think if you were just maybe cutting these out of cardstock, you definitely could pop them back into that embossing folder. All right. So let's move this out of the way, and then we'll look at putting these florals together. Okay. Now, if you're someone who has any flower shaping tools, you can use those on these as well to just add a bit of dimension or more interest to your blooms. I do have flower shaping tools. Do you think I could find them? Absolutely not. Okay, so we are going to add a little bit of dimension, but we'll just have to use, anything you've got kind of hanging around the craft room to make that happen. All right, so I'm going to start with this smaller one and just use my reverse tweezers. I think we all have those. Kind of pinch my petal down the middle and then just give that a little twist. And it just adds a little bit of dimension, a little bit of shape to those petals. Do you need to do this? Absolutely not. Could you curl your petals differently? You sure could. And based on these blooms in the vellum paper pad, it would be really fun to experiment with this without actually using the embossing folder and just layering your blooms together by adding kind of shape, curving them in different ways. So for example, I like these blooms here, and I'll make sure that there's some samples, but these ones that have more of that highlight around the edge here, I think it would be really pretty to kind of curl these petals under, and you just get a really different looking bloom as well when you've got the kind of showing the movement of the petals. All right, so just work my way around here. All right, and then we'll do the large one. So if you've got like flower shaping tools, some of them, there's like a set of tweezers in that. That's a little bit longer than what I'm using here, so you'd get a little bit better of a curve to your petals. So that might be something you have sitting in a drawer. All right, or we can just give them a little pinch like this as well. Perfect. Okay, so I did do a number of these earlier, so I'll bring those guys back in and we can layer this together. So we are going to, well, we'll see how many petals we have left over, or blooms, I guess. So let's start with this guy, and I'm going to use my glue press. Someone asked about these on the Facebook group, so super easy to use. I'm just going to pop this out here. Actually, let me bring in the stand to show you. If you don't have one, this is what they look like. So you've got this stand. It's got a little holder for the lid. Okay. And when you get this, it comes with actually two bottles. One has the fine tip here, and then your second one has, I'll just show you here. Oh, that's the wrong bottle. Sorry, that's my refill bottle. Here's the one with the tip. And then your second bottle has this larger tip. So if you use your glue for scrapbooking. Let me just hold something white here so you can see that. Or anything with larger areas, it's kind of nice to put that larger tip on. So that's why I have both bottles full. Well, this one is almost empty, I can see. We're getting there. Okay, so you refill that and it slides into here. And then when you squeeze the trigger, it squeezes your glue bottle and squeezes your glue out. So it makes it super easy to get your glue out, especially when it starts to run out a little bit. You're kind of getting every little bit of glue you can out. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit of glue there. Make sure I wanted to do 2 bigger ones. So I'm just going to place that, kind of offset the petals, line it up in the middle. And where's my handy dandy little, I can use my pokey tool here. We'll use this guy here. Just hold that down for a moment. Okay. And then we'll add another large bloom. So this will be quite a full flower. And again, super easy. You just offset the petals because we're using liquid glue. That makes it super easy. And you can, with these, you can add glitter as well if you wanted to put a little glue, a little line of glue with a glue pen on the edges and glitter them. That would be beautiful as well. Okay, and I'm going to take the medium. I'm going to do this one actually where the edges are a little darker. And we're going to add that. Okay. And so in this vellum pack, I think there are, it's 12 designs, 8 sheets each. And so it looks like you've got, I mean, really 1, 2, 3, 4, essentially 5 different colors in here. Okay. And then I'm going to add the small guys. So I think I'm going to do the lighter one first. Oh, actually, maybe I'll do the darker one. Lighter, darker, lighter. We'll do the lighter one. This time I'm popping the glue on there, but it's probably better to put it right in the center. And so you can build this up. I mean, and you don't have to build this one up as full as I've made this one. I think you'd get a beautiful result as well with just 3 blooms. Okay, and then I'm going to add one more to just make that really full. Slide that on, give it a little twist. This guy's going to be the star of the show on this card. All right. So look at how beautiful that is. So super, super easy. So I've got these 3 little ones I didn't use on here. So let's put them together to kind of make a small bloom as well. And just so you can see what the difference is when you use a few less layers. It's still going to be beautiful. Okay. Here's the beauty of liquid glue, though. I didn't quite like where that was lined up, and I still have time to move it. Awesome. It is gorgeous, isn't it, Linda? All right. Now I got it. to give that a couple of twists to get it where I wanted it. Okay, and then we'll add the last. So even with a lot less layers, this still looks like a full bloom. So we can use both. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to set that. I'm just going to move that off to the side there because that will need a couple of minutes to dry. Okay, so how are we going to deal with the leaves? So I'm going to grab a piece of vellum from my stash. And let's see. I actually have silver vellum. I don't know where it came from, but maybe we'll use silver vellum. No, we won't use silver vellum. I changed my mind. I don't want to use silver vellum. Let me just grab a piece of vellum. Sorry, I should have had this out before. Okay. So for our leaves, I'm just going to trim this piece of vellum down. I don't need such a large, I don't need to work with the full size sheet. So we'll just give that a little trim, trim, trim. Okay. And what I'm going to do I have my ink handy? Yes, I do. Kind of. Okay. We're just going to use some Distress ink, and I'm going to ink this vellum. There's my ink blending tool, and there's my foam. Well, I guess I have a foam here that I had in the back of my ink cube. All right. So this is how we're going to do our leaves. Just going to randomly ink the vellum. I don't know what's on my table there. And so I'm using Twisted Citron. You really could use whatever your favorite shade of green was, whatever works best with the blooms. Just going to ink that whole thing because as best I can, because I'll do more leaves after the fact. Okay. Give that a little wave to dry that. All right. Yeah, that's good enough. So now I can take our leaves. Maybe I'm going to, I wouldn't really make the stamen green, but just so you can see what it looks like, I'm going to die cut one of these stamens out as well, since we're die cutting anyways. Let me grab my machine and pop these guys through. I should arrange them a little bit better because I do want to get multiple leaves out of this. Maybe I'll stick that guy up here. All right. And don't slide on me. I'm terrible for not using tape on my dies unless I absolutely have to. But then, you know what happens when you do that. You put something through and it's like, ah, the die slid. All right. So, super pretty. I'll just put that on white here. You can see it just adds those little veins there. And you could come in with a really fine blending tool if you wanted to add some shadows to that. All right. And then this is what the stamen looks like. Whoops, just so you can see, get a good look at that. Okay. So maybe we'll use it on one of the blooms just so we can see. Well, I can show you what it looks like without gluing it down. All All right, so I'm just going to cut a couple more leaves because I need at least 3. So I might as well cut, I can get another 2 out of this piece of vellum, so we will do that. I did watch a video a while ago, and the creator was kind of showing how to get the most, how to maximize your paper when you were die cutting. Super cool. She basically kind of mapped everything out and then put her, essentially taped the dies all together so they would always be in that configuration to get the maximum real estate from a piece of cardstock. So kind of one of those, like, super great video, lots of great information, but one of those things that's like, when I have some time, I will play with that. Okay, so there's our leaves. So I'm just going to pop these back on here so I don't lose them. That is something I am infamous for. And I don't want to lose anything from this set. Okay, so we'll just put these guys together, and there is the packaging. So I'm just going to put that all together. Actually, I'm going to slide it inside. I know I do plan to make more, but I just don't want to lose anything. Okay. So let me bring in, so previous to going live, I did die cut from that Silver Spellbinders cardstock I showed you. I die cut the brush gold. Okay, and so now from our little dry embossed that we did manually, I'll say, I've die cut this guy here. So that's just the next size of that waffle flower. Show you what it's called, nesting piercing fancy labels die. Okay, and I'll just pop this guy back on here. So beautiful, beautiful die. So let's adhere these together. Do I want to pop them up? I don't know. Do I want to pop them up? Let me think about that while I kind of play around with. So my idea was to kind of offset this here. I wonder if I should turn it into a 5x7 card. No. I'm not going to overthink it. Okay. We'll start with that. Okay, and then I wanted to show you guys, so here's the stamen, and what I would do is grab my, I guess I could use my pickup stick here. I'm just gonna shape that a little, and then we could pop this guy right in the center here. I think we will put him in. Let's put that stamen in there, and then I will check my stash. I know 100% for sure that I have a little bit of bling that we can add to the center of that. All right, so let's just slide that right into the center. There we go. I'm just going to hold that down for a moment. All right. Okay, so that will dry as long as I don't touch it, it's going to dry. Okay, so let's glue this down, and then I'm going to grab a card front, and we'll decide what we're going to do with that. Okay. So we've got that glued down, and I think what I'm going to do, It might be really pretty. Where did I put, oh. So we might back that. No, I think I'm going to find a piece of white. All right. Do I have a large enough piece? Yes, I do. Okay. So I'm just going to give this a quick little trim down. And we're just going to kind of pick the best spots and trim this to a A2 card front size. So yeah, the paper's a little bit buckled, but it's going to work. We're going to be able to make it work. Just make it a little smaller. 4 inch by 5 1/4. All right. I'll slide that out of the way. And what I'm going to do is layer this. We're just going to keep this super simple. Super simple. So I'm going to layer this on a brush gold A2 card front, and then we're going to layer this on here. Oh yeah, pretty. Okay, perfect. I'm just going to grab my large stamping block. So I'm going to add the liquid adhesive, and this is the beauty of the glue press. Sorry, for a second I forgot what it was called. I can go right to the edges here. Just getting the glue right down there, as close to the edge as I can get it. And then we'll just add a little bit here. Okay, and then I can slide that, because it's liquid glue, till I've got the borders kind of where, or a border around that card front. Okay, perfect. And then I'm just gonna set this block on top and give it a little bit of pressure. Because this is paper that had been misted with water, it's a little bit, it buckled a little bit when it dried. All right. We'll just, most of it's going to be covered up, but okay. A little bit of glue there, wipe that off. All right, so now I'm going to add this in the center, and I'm going to leave it, because this bloom is so dimensional already. I'm just going to leave this flat as well. So I'm not going to, I could add foam adhesive to this, but I think it's got lots of dimension with that bloom as well. So I'm just gonna kind of eyeball that in the center, and then we'll just add my block on top, and then we'll just kind of play around with how we're going to do our leaves. Probably just like that, I think. So I am going to let this hang off the edge a little bit, and I'm okay with that. This would definitely be a card. I might kind of craft a custom size envelope, or just put it, I'd probably just put it in a 5x7 envelope, and it would be hand delivered. Okay. So I see I've got a little spot there that's a little bit buckled. So I'm going to gently add a little bit of adhesive. Just wipe that off. And just hold that down with my block there. And again, that's just the paper was a little bit buckled from the water. All right. So now I'm going to add our leaf here, or maybe I want to add it here. Decisions, decisions. I want to keep this offset just so that you can really see the beauty of that 2D embossing. So maybe we'll do it like this. Okay, that's what we'll do. So I'm going to add a little glue here on this guy just because I like where that is, and that will help me place my flower exactly where I want it to be. Okay, so we'll add a little bit of liquid glue here as well. Oh, and I got to find a little sparkly guy for the middle of that. And a sentiment. Oops. Well, that didn't work. Okay. It stuck to my finger. All right. So because I know this is going to need a little bit of dry time, let's kind of get that glue on there right away before we grab a sentiment. Yeah, the glue guns are fantastic. You know, I was on the fence. Actually, I wasn't on the fence. I told myself I didn't need one for a long time. And then I tried one and I was like, okay, sold. And I do find that, especially if you're, I mean, I don't know, if you're like me, I kind of try to maximize my glue. I don't ever want to, you know, I don't want things to fall off, but I also don't want to go, you know, super crazy that I'm kind of overusing the glue and going through copious amounts of it. And so I really like that smaller tip. It just helps me get the glue exactly where I want it so nothing falls off. But then especially for if you love little die cuts, it is just awesome when working with little die cuts. Okay, we need a sentiment. So I am going to, I see my sentiments. All right. So I think we're going to do thank you, mostly because it's a little smaller and I don't want to, you know, cover up the beauty of that embossing. And I don't think I'm going to use the shadow either. I think I'm just going to use the words themselves. So this is an awesome little set. And I like this one because all of this, the thank you, they're all joined together. So super easy to work with. Even though it's small, it's great because all those letters are joined together so you don't have little fiddly bits. And for some reason, this tape from the packaging decided it wanted to stick to the die. All right. So I like that. We're going to get a lovely little sentiment on here. And yet I almost wish it was that color. But let's see what it looks like with black. I'm just going to grab a scrap piece of black. Literally a scrap. And let's see what that looks like. All right. If I really wanted it to be like matchy-matchy, I could sacrifice a flower from the Vellum pack to die cut the sentiment out of because it's a small enough sentiment, but I'm not going to do that. All right, so let's see. Oh, I love the script on this. It's beautiful. And there's my pokey tool. We'll just get rid of those inside pieces. Oh yeah, this is perfect for this. So we we can see that little bit of embossing through it. So I think I'm going to put that up here, but I think I want to stack that up. So I'm just going to cut a couple more out of black cardstock and stack those together. Just want to find that. I'm using just kind of a heavier weight cardstock from my stash, so I want to make sure I die cut from the same one. Okay, I should move this aside because what's going to happen is I'm going to end up accidentally putting my entire Platinum 6 on top of the flower and wreck it or something. Because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen live. Okay. So, roll that through this way. Okay. Just about at the we're at the tail end, guys. Thanks for hanging in there. If you've had a chance to hang in there. If you're on replay, feel free to skip to the end to see the end result. I am not offended. All right. So, easiest way to get dimension with a smaller sentiment like this is to die cut it multiple times and then just stack them together, which is what we're going to do. Okay, and I'm going to grab my reading glasses really quick, the ones I tell myself I don't need. And then when I don't use them and try to line these guys up, I think they're perfect until I notice that, oh, you did not have that lined up properly. You are off-centered. So here's the beauty of this glue press as well. I'm just very, very gently squeezing the trigger on this, and then I can get these nice tiny little dots of glue. And then I'm just going to hold that with my tweezers. Probably should have done it the other way, but this way will work fine. Just to get them lined up. Okay, and the beauty of liquid glue is I can shift it a little. I've got a little bit of glue oozing, but I'll use my tweezers to wipe that off. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to repeat and add the glue here, and again, just little dots. Oh, that's a little large. So I'm actually just kind of touching the tip. You see there's a little excess glue on there. I'm just going to wipe that off real quick. Sometimes there's a little bit that hangs on to the end there, but I just gave that a quick wipe off, and I'll come back here, and again, just little dots, dot, dot, dot. If you go crazy with the glue on these little die cuts, then you're going to get a lot of glue oozing out, and it just is a bit of a mess to clean up. Whoops. That's okay, we got plenty. All right. And I'll make sure these are lined up. Fabulous. And we'll just kind of take the edges of that glue. You can see where I was a little bit heavy-handed. Then that glue oozes out. So we'll kind of wipe off what we can see, but this glue does dry clear. You can use the Nouveau glue in these glue presses. Really, any liquid glue works. I use the art glitter. Okay, so let's add this guy. Let's bring it back in our card front. And let's add the sentiment and then just dig real quick for something sparkly for the center. Okay. And we'll set that guy. I'm just going to grab him like here. I'm going to put him right up here. Actually, I might just tuck it slightly under that petal. Ooh, I like that. Okay, and then I'm going to put my little block on top. It's just an old stamp block. Okay, last but not least, let's check the bling drawer. And I have a lot of bling. Okay, so we can match the gold. I think I want something sparkly. Sparkly would be nice. Let's see. What do I have? I have some Chloe's Creative Gems, but they are like wintry colors, so I don't think they're going to work here. But they would work really well with those purple flowers, so I might keep those aside. I'm going to have to do a sample with purple flowers. Okay. Let's check what do I have here? I have silver. I think it needs clear. It just needs something to kind of give a bit of shine in the center there. Let's see. I have quite the collection here that's been around for a while. Oh, there's a little teeny bag at the bottom of my sandwich bag. If I could just get my little fingers on it. Okay, there we go. Oh, little things from Lucy's. Okay, crystals collection. I think we can find something to work with here. So let's just drop those in here. Oh, there's hearts in here too. Cute. Okay, so I'm thinking we could make it bigger, but that's too big. That's way too big. Let's do, think like a little one of these guys that's kind of shiny. Yeah. So we'll just grab what happened to my tool? Oh, you know what? I do remember the wax tip broke off. So let me just find a different one here in my stash. 1 second, friends. We'll use this one. This one works quite well. All right, so I think we'll do this guy. So maybe before I try to grab that, I'm gonna put a little drop of glue. Actually, that's quite a bit. That's a lot of glue. Definitely won't go anywhere once I get it in there. Okay. And I have, looks like I don't know what I have on the end of my tool here. Let's see if this doesn't pick up. That's probably, oh, good, it worked. Nope, no, it didn't. It fell down. Let's try this other end. There's kind of something on the end of that pickup tool. Oh, now we're in the glue. Mayday, mayday. Got it. All right, let's see if we can get this guy in there. There we go. Goodness, my pickup tool isn't picking up very well. Okay, hang on. I'm a crafter. There's always an extra somewhere. Okay, found one. This is an old one, but it'll do the job for now. All right, there we go. And fabulous. Just going to shift that a little so it's, believe it or not, I can actually tell that there's a center to this. There we go. Just going to hold that in place a moment. All right. Okay, once that I get that in the place that I want it, then it's going to dry. We're going to let it dry. And there we go. So so I do have to put this on a card base, but there is our completed, well, it's our card front, but our completed project. So I might come back in and add maybe a few more little gems that kind of will tie in that flower center, but super fun. So that is all the fun you can have, and then some, with the printed pretty Peony paper pack. And then you use that in conjunction with the 3D embossing folder and metal die set. So yeah, I'll get a few more samples done and kind of show you how you can use this, with regular cardstock as well. And that, but yeah, thanks for hanging out with me today, everyone. That was a long one. A really long one. Yeah, so lots and lots of options with this. And I mean, I didn't count, and my math's not good, so if your math is better, you probably can come up with some numbers of actually how many flowers you can get out of this paper pad. It's a lot. That's all I know. It's a lot. Great. So these products are in the shop, but I think Sandy's packing up for Carnival. So I'm not sure if you wanted to order these right now, if she can get them to you right away or not. Probably not. But if it's something you're interested in and you're not local, you might want to at least check it out before the Carnival next week, because it might not be around after. You are very welcome. Awesome. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful Thursday, and it is Easter this weekend, so happy Easter to those of you who celebrate Easter, and have a wonderful weekend if you don't, either way. So thanks for hanging out, everyone. Take care. Bye.